Hi, and welcome to my first video about how to start with XNA. I'll show you how to get started, cause the XNA framework is really easy to work with. And right now I have to work in 640 times 480, so it's really small. And I'd really suggest that you look at this in the high quality setting, because it will be very blurry in the lower quality setting on YouTube. So let's start. We start by opening Visual Studio 2008 and create a new project. And we have to have XNA Game Studio 3.0. We have to have XNA installed, and this video won't show you how to do that. If you need to know how to do that, you'll just have to Google it or find some sort of tutorial on how to install it. It's very easy, and you can probably find it just by looking for XNA. And we'll start by making one, and we'll call it My XNA Game. It's actually not gonna be a game, but since it won't have many mechanics, it'll just be a really short tutorial on how to get started. But I've been thinking about maybe continuing along this tutorial. So for now, let's just call it My XNA Game. There we go. One thing to note here is that the game we are creating is part of the framework of XNA. As you see, you create a framework game, and that's your beginning class. And I'll change the name of it because I want it to be named My XNA Game. And let's rename all the instances of Game 1. Let's look at the Solution Explorer, and we'll change the name of that file as well. There we go. There are two things I want you to note here when working with XNA, that in the Solution Explorer you can see that we have the code files as usual, and then we have something called content, which is sort of new for working with XNA. And in content is where you load all your textures and your audio and other kind of files that will sort of extend on your application or game. And let's start by writing some code. Our first task will just to be how to get a sprite drawn upon the screen. Let's see. And in order to draw a sprite, we need to make one. So I'll just start Paint, make a new file, 50 times 50 pixels, make it transparent just for some reason, and let's see, we'll use there we go, a little happy face. And I've been working mostly with PNG because it seems to be quite a good format for the alpha channels and everything. So basically we'll just call this like Smile and save it. And now in the Solution Explorer, in the contents, we add existing item. We check I put it on my desktop, I'll add it. And now we have it in our content, and if we click it, we can check what asset name it has. It has asset name Smile. And this will soon become apparent to you why we have to check that. First, we'll start by making a texture, a two-dimensional one. And we'll call it Text Smile. Actually, I'll do like this. And XNA is very easy in the sense that it actually tells you where you should put everything. They have put comments down here, and I'm just gonna explain it very shortly for you, even if the comments are really self-explanatory. And here's where we do our initialization logic, and right now we don't have any. It's if you need to set any kind of variables that you yourself decide. But here, load content is where we need to load our texture that we just created. So we have our text smile, and we have to use this content and call the load method and tell it what we are loading, and we're loading a texture 2-dimensional, and then give it an asset name, which was smile. If we check that file there, and we have asset name smile. Good. And if we need to unload any non-content manager content, we do it here. But right now we just want to draw this sprite. So we'll start by opening a sprite batch and tell it to begin, and then we'll have to tell it where to end. It's basically just saying start putting things on the screen and end putting things on the screen. And we'll call it sprite batch again and tell it to draw. Which texture? Well, we'll have our text smile, and we need a destination. However, I think we'll use a vector for that, which is just an x and y value where to put it on the screen, and I'll put it on 10, 10. And this is just if you want to tint the sprite, which we don't want to, so we'll just say color white and it won't get tinted. And if I'm I'm not really done yet. We're gonna do one thing more. In the constructor, we'll tell the graphic device that we want to preferred back buffer width, which I want to be, because I'm using 640 times 480, it will fill the entire screen and a bit more. So we'll just do a really small screen for this one. So I'll just tell it to use 320 times 240 as resolution. And let's see. Successful. Let's run and see. We have a background and we have our smiley there. And that's about it. Actually, the only last thing I would like to show you is how to put some text into that screen, because some might just think that's a bit tricky. So we'll start by in the Solution Explorer, content, we'll add a new item, and we have something called sprite font, and we'll call it standard. Let's add it, and then it will open the sprite font file, which will look like an XML file. And as you can see, font name, it fills the name that I just typed, but we need to type a font family name. So let's type Verdana, which is quite a nice font, or well, kind of common font, and which size it wants to be, and kerning, and if we want it italic, bold, and stuff. But we don't want that. We want it regular. Okay, so now we have a sprite font. Then we have to create a sprite font, and we'll call it SF standard, and then we'll just have to load it. And we need to tell it that it's a sprite font it's loading, and yeah, what's the asset name? We can check that by just clicking the standard sprite font and checking properties. It's called standard. And now we have to put it on the screen. So we tell the sprite batch to draw string, and we'll tell it to use our SF standard, our sprite font, and we say my XNA game, and let's give it a vector. We'll say and we'll use the color yellow because we can. Let's see if that's about it. Yes, and that's how easy it is to create a simple XNA application. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.